If you had to bet your life savings on whether JJ McCarthy would turn out more like Josh Allen or Christian Ponder, what would you bet on? So I think something has to be done about the JJ McCarthy haters. It's really gotten out of hand. You shouldn't get so upset about a game. This is what my parents would always tell me. My dad, it's just a game. It's just a game. And then the Vikings would lose and he'd go into a depression for a week. So how did you feel after that loss?
It's one of the low points of my life. So.
There's a lot of JJ McCarthy haters. No, I don't mean people who hate JJ McCarthy or necessarily hate his play that much. I think most people just want the Vikings to win and they don't maybe see them winning. No, it's the people who hate anybody who criticizes JJ McCarthy. But there is this kind of Gestapo mentality these days of if you don't support this team 100%, if you don't support JJ McCarthy 100%, go find a different team. People are criticizing JJ McCarthy for getting every other pass batted down, for making bad throws, for being inaccurate. You could say, well, that's just being a rookie. Well, yeah, but we want to talk about this. We want to be able to point these things out. That's part of being a fan, is being able to have discussions about players, things that actually happened. It's no fun to get together with a bunch of Vikings fans and just be like, we're going to win. We're going to win. Nine's going to take us all the way. And Gink is going to get us a pick six. And JJ is going to catch 15 touchdowns, even though he's caught one in the last 10 weeks or whatever. Is that fun? Is that your definition of fun, just being delusional? What have the Vikings won? One playoff game in the last 5-6 years? One playoff game in the last 5-6 years? And people see them starting out like crap and think another year without a playoff win. They're probably not even going to make the playoffs. And then McCarthy doesn't look great. Offensive line doesn't look great. Jefferson doesn't look great. Defense doesn't look great. Next year they won't go to the playoffs again. We're rebuilding. That's what they're seeing. And they can't just lie to themselves because most people are too intelligent. Deep down, they have functioning brains. They have brain cells. They can't just pretend everything's going to be great every week. They can't pretend that when Kirk Cousins comes out, takes his shirt off, and blows the horn with his kid before a game against the Packers. They can't pretend the Vikings aren't going to get their asses kicked. Let's look at some data here. I've compiled a list of the statistics from the first 4 games for JJ McCarthy and 10 other NFL quarterbacks. And I didn't cherry pick these names. These are pretty good representative comparisons, okay? Just to see how each of them did in their first 4 games. Let's look at JJ McCarthy's stats first, okay? Averaging about 170 yards a game, 5 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 2 rushing touchdowns, so 7 total touchdowns, 2-2 1-loss record, and worth pointing out, 5 games missed to injury. Now we're not counting last year when he missed every game. Let's just assume they were gonna let him sit on the bench last year behind Darnold. Of course, people bring out Josh Allen, 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and his 1-loss record was 1-3. The one win, by the way, who did he beat in that one game? Who did he annihilate? The Vikings at US Bank Stadium.
Anthony Barr wants no part of Josh Allen.
So Josh Allen doesn't look so great, other than destroying the Vikings in one of those 4 games. People tend not to point out Patrick Mahomes' first 4 game stats. I believe he started 1 game in his rookie year, the last week of the season, and then 3 to start his second year. 13 touchdowns, 1 interception, 4-0, 1-loss record. Should we expect JJ McCarthy to be that good? No, not necessarily, but you can be. You can be good from the start. And you might say, oh, well, he was put into a great situation. Andy Reid is coach on a good team. Yeah, that's a big part of it. You want to say JJ McCarthy's not in a great situation? I won't argue. And that's the problem with Vikings fans have. They don't see a great situation to put him in, so they don't see it leading to success. And he could become a bust if you put him in a bad situation. He gets beat up, he gets hurt. Okay, let's look at Lamar Jackson.
And he designed the javelin to go along with Lamar's limp-wristed throwing style.
3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Now with Lamar, of course, you got to look at the rushing stats. 332 rush yards in 4 games. 2 touchdowns. 3-1 record. Okay, this is important. He was 3-1 in his first 4 games. What was the one loss? In overtime at Kansas City against Patrick Mahomes. That's a pretty good loss. Okay, that's as close to a moral victory as you can get. So he was pretty solid, 3-1 there. Oh, he was on a good team. It's like, yeah, that's part of the point. You want your starting quarterback, your rookie, your new quarterback to be on a good team for him to be successful. So if he's not successful, part of it may be that the team sucks, and that may not help him. Jared Goff, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 0-4 record. Okay, that's pretty lousy. Jordan Love.
Boring.
8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 1 rushing touchdown, 2-2 record. Pretty good touchdown interception ratio there. What about Tom Brady? You think Tom Brady's good looking?
Yeah.
Like as a friend or?
What do you mean?
5 touchdowns, no interceptions, 3-1 record. Again, that's kind of not quite at Mahomes level, but that's pretty good. Pretty good. Ball security. Looks pretty mature. Daunte Culpepper. How about Daunte? How did he do? Well, 6 touchdowns, 5 INTs. It's okay, you know. Almost 250 yards passing a game. That's pretty solid. Almost 200 rush yards. That was something Daunte brought. And he was a big boulder of a guy. 4-0 record. That was 2000. That was the year they went to the NFC Championship game. Can't remember if they scored any points in that game or not. Daunte did just fine, and that team did just fine. How about Brett Favre? Okay? 4 touchdowns, 2 INTs, 230 pass yards a game. That's in the higher end of what we've been seeing, even though this was like 30-some years ago, back when you weren't seeing 5,000-yard passers. A 1-3 record. Favre started when the Packers weren't any good, right? They weren't a model franchise or a team that had a history of good quarterback play at that point. They were kind of crap. And Favre and Reggie White bringing all those guys in and changing the mentality there to a mentality of actually wanting to win. It kind of started when Favre started, but it didn't start great right away. So you can say, oh, this is kind of like JJ isn't starting great. Favre didn't start great. He started 1-3. Things weren't great. It wasn't a great team. Well, maybe. Do you want to believe that? How about Joey Harrington? I mean, he was a very high pick. He was like 4th or 6th pick overall. 54% completion percentage, which is about identical to JJ McCarthy. 5 touchdowns, 5 INTs, which is pretty similar to JJ McCarthy. 2-2 record. Same as JJ McCarthy. Now, he didn't miss any games to injury, so he's got that on JJ. But this is looking pretty similar. How about everybody's favorite, Christian Ponder? 52% completion percentage, so JJ's one up on him there. Over 200 passing yards per game, so he's got JJ there. 5 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Identical to JJ McCarthy. No rush touchdowns, but he did have over 100 yards rushing, kind of in line with JJ there. 1-3 record. So, not terribly surprised that the 1-loss record wasn't great with Christian Ponder there, although he did take him to the playoffs that one year when Adrian Peterson got like 8,000 rush yards. as far as I can tell, and looking through all of these guys, all 10 of these other guys, not one of them missed a game due to injury between their first start and their fourth start. Not one. So that's a big deal. That is a big concern. So when people are upset about JJ McCarthy, a lot of it is that the guy can't stay healthy. He hasn't shown he can stay healthy. And none of these other guys got hurt in their first 4 starts. What you see is you can have a very mediocre to poor start to your career statistically and turn into a great quarterback. Most guys start out pretty mediocre. And your JJ McCarthy haters, and by that I mean the people who hate anyone who criticizes JJ McCarthy, will point this out and just say, well, as if this proves that JJ McCarthy is destined for greatness. Like, well, Josh Allen was bad in his first 4 games, so JJ McCarthy's Josh Allen. It's like, no, his stats are maybe similar to Josh Allen's, but they're also similar to Christian Ponder's. Okay? And it's more likely if you don't have a good organization around you, good team, good offensive line, good mentality, good coaching, it is much more likely you will turn into Christian Ponder than Josh Allen. And who does JJ McCarthy remind you more of when you watch him play? Josh Allen or Christian Ponder? Because I'll be honest, I didn't really see any of JJ McCarthy. I mean, I saw a few highlights of him in college, and maybe I watched a couple plays of that one preseason game he played last year where he got hurt and then missed the season. But I started watching him in his first series this preseason, and I was watching him, and I'm just like, reminds me a little of Christian Ponder. How he moves, his throwing motion is kind of slow, not terribly accurate, not a real big guy. I'm like, looks a little like Christian, just doesn't look great. That's what I thought. I want to believe he's Patrick Mahomes, right? Or Josh Allen. I want to believe that. I didn't go in thinking, gee, I'm looking to criticize him. I just went in, blank slate. What does he look like? I'm like, it looks kind of like Christian Ponder. Kind of like Joey Harrington. That's how it reads to me. He does not look like Daunte Culpepper, who was just huge and could run people over. He does not look like Josh Allen, this giant of a guy who can throw it a mile. He's not like Lamar Jackson. He's not like Patrick Mahomes. Is he like Tom Brady? Tom Brady? Not really. Tom Brady was a big guy. He's certainly faster than Tom Brady, but mentally, I think people want to think he's like Tom Brady. Maybe. That may be where his edge is. Maybe the most important stat here is none of these guys missed a game due to injury. It took them 4 games to get to their 4th start once they started. It took McCarthy 9. People may point to McCarthy's 2 touchdown runs, kind of some of his play late in games. I'm sure if you look back at some of these guys, these other 10 quarterbacks, in some of these 4 games, they made some plays late in games. I don't think it's unique. I don't think JJ McCarthy is unique in that he's made a couple good plays in the 4th quarter of a couple games. People want to see that. They want to believe he's great. They want to believe. They want to believe. And that's all they will believe. It's not just that they want to believe. That's the only thing they will accept. They will not even contemplate that he might not be great because they can't handle it. Their whole life is predicated on the need to believe the next game will be absolutely perfect. Everything will work out. It's a Minnesota mentality. If you had to bet your life savings on whether JJ McCarthy would turn out more like Josh Allen or Christian Ponder, what would you bet on? Well, you're going to have to use your brain a little. It can't just be, I have a 9 jersey and JJ McCarthy calls himself 9 and he's the greatest ever, so he's going to be more like Josh Allen. Well, that's not how it works. Oh, I trust KOC. KOC and JJ all the way. Okay, well, fine. Bet your life savings on that. How many playoff wins has KOC gotten you? Problem here is people like me and people who dare to criticize Kevin O'Connell or JJ McCarthy or Justin Jefferson, we're tired of losing. We're more like JJ McCarthy. I think JJ McCarthy hates losing. Really hates losing. We're more like him. So if you hate us, you hate JJ McCarthy too, I guess. Because he hates losing too. And that's our problem. We have a whole big group of Vikings fans, very vocal Vikings fans, who really don't care if they win. Because if they cared, they would actually want the Vikings to get better. And they don't. They just accept mediocrity year after year. And JJ McCarthy's first 4 games are the definition of mediocrity. So they're like a pig in slop now. They are exactly where they want to be. If the Vikings can just win every other game while playing very uneven football, they can still wear their 9 jersey, show up at US Bank, do the Skol chant, and every other week leave happy when the Vikings win, and every other week leave just as happy when the Vikings lose, because they don't really care.